Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to crack the code on something you probably see every single day, the weather forecast.
Have you ever checked an app on your phone before you leave the house just to see if you need a coat? And have you ever wondered, how do they actually know if it's going to rain? Well, today we're going to find out. Okay, let's dive in. Our mission, should you choose to accept it, is pretty simple. By the end of our time together, you'll be able to look at a proper weather forecast and know exactly what it's telling you. You'll be able to read it like a pro.
Right then. First up, let's get our heads around what a forecast actually is. So, is a weather forecast just a guess? Well, yeah, it's a prediction, but it's not a wild guess. Not at all. It's a really educated guess that's based on loads of scientific data.
You've definitely seen them everywhere, right? On the TV, on your phone, maybe even in a newspaper. And they often use these simple little pictures to tell the story of the weather.
Oh yeah, you know these. A little sun for sunny, a cloud for, well, cloudy. These symbols are fantastic because they make it super easy to understand the weather in just a glance.
But those symbols, they're only half the story. To really get what's going on, we need to look at the tool the experts use. We're going to call it the secret weather map.
A secret map. Well, you could call it that. Its proper name is a synoptic chart. It sounds complicated, but it just means it shows you a quick summary, a synopsis, of all the weather happening at once.
Whoa, okay, that looks complicated. A bit like a secret code, right? But trust me, it might look tricky, but once you know the clues, it's actually pretty easy to read. It's amazing how much information they can pack in there.
So the very first clue to cracking this code is understanding something called air pressure. I want you to imagine a giant, invisible column of air that's sitting on your head and stretching all the way up to space. It sounds weird, but air pressure is just the weight of all that air pushing down.
Now, there are two main types. You've got high pressure, where the air is sinking down. That usually brings calm, clear, sunny weather. And then you have low pressure, where the air is rising up. That's what usually brings stormy, cloudy, and wet weather.
And here's an easy way to remember it. On the map, if you see a big H, think H for happy weather, lots of sun. But if you see a big L, think L for lousy weather. You might need your umbrella for that one.
So what are all those curvy lines all over the map? That's a great question. Those lines are called isobars. They're a bit like contour lines on a geography map, but instead of joining up places with the same height, they join up places that have the same air pressure.
See how the isobars circle around the high and low pressure areas? Here's the really cool part. When those lines are packed really close together, it means it's going to be super windy.
Okay, you're doing great. The next big clue on our secret map is something called a weather front.
A front is basically a battle line in the sky. It's the place where two different types of air, like a huge chunk of warm air and a huge chunk of cold air, crash into each other.
First up, the cold front. It's a blue line with little blue triangles. You can think of them like little icicles. A cold front pushes warm air up really fast, and that brings a short, sharp burst of heavy rain. And after it passes, the weather gets colder and clearer.
Then there's the warm front. This one's a red line with red semicircles. They look a bit like little suns, don't they? This front brings steadier, lighter rain, maybe some drizzle. And you guessed it, after it passes, the weather gets warmer.
And sometimes, a speedy cold front actually catches up to a slower warm front. When that happens, you get an occluded front. This one's a purple line, and it brings a real mix of weather, usually with sudden, heavy downpours. Okay, let's look back at our map. Now that you know what you're looking for, can you spot them? Can you see the blue line with triangles, the red line with semicircles, and the purple one moving across the UK? Each one is bringing its own special kind of weather.
And there you have it. By putting all these clues together, the highs and lows, the isobars, and the fronts, you can actually read the weather story on the map. Let's do a super quick recap. Here's your checklist. Remember, synoptic charts are the special weather maps. H is for happy, sunny weather. L is for lousy, rainy weather. Isobars packed close together mean it's windy, and fronts are where the rain happens. That's it. You now know the basics of being a weather forecaster.
So next time you see a weather map on TV, have a proper look. Don't just glance at it. You now have the skills to decode it all by yourself. What weather do you think is coming your way? Go on, have a go.